Welcome back, everyone. We get ready for the November election and the run for Ohio House seat in Ohio's 88th district. And Bill Young is a Democrat from the Green Springs area. He joins us in studio this morning. Bill, it's great to have you. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
A little trek out here to Doran Richards in West Toledo. Running without a Dam Schroeder in the race here.
It's almost hard to believe for the citizens of this district.
For a number of reasons.
Right.
But running against Mr. Reineke.
Mr. Reineke from Tiffin, Ohio, car dealer.
Car dealer. Actually, a little bit more name recognition perhaps than Bill Young. And you have a Dam Schroeder. So here's Bill Young, the Democrat, the challenger, tough nut to crack in the 88th district, Sandusky, Seneca County.
It certainly is, right. We have all of Sandusky County and the majority of Seneca County. The gerrymandering changed things up a little bit. It made it even harder as far as for a Democrat to win. We've only had one Democrat since 1930. Dwight Wise, our campaign advisor, who was a wonderful state representative, someone I really want to emulate. He was there for the people. And when you talk to anyone who is, for example, a trustee or city council, they said, you know, Dwight was there. He came, and that's what I want to do, is be there to make sure that they understand what's going on in Columbus and what I could do to help them along the way.
You say you want to emulate him. Well, you may want to ask him how he won.
Exactly right.
So how do you win, Bill Young? 472 votes in the primary election in May?
Right.
So less than half of your opponent. So how do you win?
Well, the thing is, we really have seen our campaign take off since the Blade did the front page story on the importance of this race. The fact that we are one vote away from breaking that supermajority in the House right now. And when people realize how important this is, not just Democrats, but Republicans who might be fans of Governor Kasich are saying to themselves, the governor with this supermajority, they could veto any of his legislation. And so there's a radical group of Republicans down there that they need to realize that we need compromise in the state government. By me winning this seat, it goes back to majority. At that supermajority, it's wrong, because there's some things that the governor could do, that, for example, the fracking severance tax. He came with a very low figure, which would have been the second lowest in the nation as far as fracking. They went even lower. So I think that's a real good issue for us. But that Blade article really has energized our campaign.
Energized to the tune of what? You've been able to generate campaign dollars,
Our
Bill?
campaign dollars are coming in, which we were at a big disadvantage with early. But now we have that interest coming in. We have people that are calling, want to be part of our campaign team. What could I do? I want signs. I'm going to make phone calls for you. That, I think, was the energy we needed against a well-known opponent. And it's a shame that a car dealer has more name recognition than a teacher and a coach, particularly the fact that I was very fortunate in my 3-year career.
But that's the nature of the beast, right? I mean,
it is the nature of the beast, unfortunately, because if you look over that Blade article again, the best the Republican Party could say about their candidate was he's a car dealer. Where my party talked about the fact, the accomplishments that I've made, not only as a candidate before, but as a teacher. I was the
let's talk about
Ohio Social Studies Teacher of the Year, Northwest Ohio Teacher of the Year, among many awards. So I've had name recognition by doing a lot of things that my students were amazing. Parents were amazing. I'm just so passionate about teaching. I want to take that passion I have to help people in our district.
All right, 38 years as a teacher.
38 years.
A couple as a substitute.
Last
teacher,
2 years substituting. I've now taught every grade level in the state of Ohio, from preschool through senior. So I see the whole picture, how things work, and this is why these terrible cuts are so wrong to me that we've had in education.
Well, I do want to talk about education. The state report cards came out.
They came out
this
today?
past Friday, right, as we tape here on Friday.
Right.
And tougher standards, no question about that. So where do you stand on that?
Well,
Governor Kasich pushed for that when he came in?
Sure, and we look at the fact that we're not going to know the real results till 2016, the real overall results. Right now, what's coming out of Columbus is these first ones come out, the school districts aren't going to do very well. There's going to be a lot of good school districts not showing a very good grade. The tests are going to be harder.
Small fraction scored A's.
Exactly, very small.
Out of the hundreds of
some excellent schools getting D's. Some wonderful schools with some wonderful teachers that they're really shocked by some of these scores. I think it's wrong what they're doing right now. I mean, the biggest issue I get asked about is Common Core.
Okay.
Is Common Core. And obviously with Common Core, we're going to have a lot more standardized testing. Back when I was still teaching before I retired, 5 years ago when Common Core first came out, it was My concern is, how are you going to do this? How are you going to train these teachers? How are you going to get computers? Everything's going to be done on a computer. But we have it now. The teachers have been trained, which is why I substituted a lot the last 2 years. I look at the fact that when I taught, I gave a lot of essay questions teaching social studies. A lot of my fellow teachers said, what are you doing that for? But it's higher level thinking, and that's what Common Core is really all about. I had my doubts at first, but when I talk to teachers now that have been trained in it and understand it, but they have to have time to implement it, and they have to have time. So these scores didn't surprise me very much, Lee. I really wasn't surprised, but the thing is, you can't take, which this administration has done, $515 million away from where they were in 2010 and expect the kids to be thriving, because I could tell you personally, class size is a huge amount of what learning is all about.
What's a good amount of students for Bill Young's social studies class to teach? Is it 20? Is it 25? Is it 18? I mean, when you talk about class size.
Middle school was where I spent most of my career, and I was very comfortable with 25. But I'm not comfortable in kindergarten and first grade and second grade with 25. I think they need to be a much lower number, and I've said 18 I think is the real number. But we can't do that with all the job losses we've had. You can't take that amount of money away. And my big argument with this administration right now is you can't sit on a $2 billion rainy day fund when you took it off the backs of our school kids. And you took that much money away from them. You took 50% from the local government fund. That's wrong. I mean, the thing is, our governor makes light of Governor Strickland having, I think it was, what, 84 cents but again, that's because we had these services, we had people. And that's a real concern to me, that we're sitting on this money that could be used. And certainly when we had the water crisis in Toledo, the governor had said that, you know, Lake Erie was not going to be distressed under my watch. Well, guess what? People in Toledo know it did get distressed under his watch.
All right, but here we are now, and now we see all the politicians kind of circling the wagons for these clean water initiatives.
Sure.
You live in an area that's dominated by agriculture.
Sure.
In Sandusky and Seneca County. What would Bill Young do with farmers? And you talk about farmers, the importance of farmers in your website and what have you. But what would Bill Young do to put a little pressure on the farmers and say, look, we need to clean up, be better stewards of the land?
Well, I could tell you, honestly, being endorsed by the Ohio Farm Bureau and the Harvest Farmers Union, the two main farm groups in Ohio, I've talked to a lot of farmers, and they realize that they want to do things right. They're good citizens. And if you look at the work that came out of Columbus with the Farm Bureau and the Farmers Union on Senate Bill 150, that's a good step in the right direction to actually train the application of fertilizer. We know phosphorus is the main reason we're having these problems.
Well documented. Yeah.
Well documented. But if you look at the reports, about 40% of that falls in the back of farmers. That's it. We still have a lot of other reasons that we have to look at to not have another crisis like we're having. But the farmers themselves want to do things right. That I could guarantee you. And I think that 150 is a small step, but it's a good step. And we also are sponsoring a lot of research. The farm groups are down at Ohio State University looking at how to reduce phosphorus. And Scott's, you know, the big lawn care company has removed all the phosphorus. They've done that and stuff. So I think the farmers want to do what's right. I really do. From talking to them in groups, they want to do that. It was a terrible situation for everybody here.
Yeah, and we'll see what happens going forward, but everybody realizes now just how important it is.
Just how important it is.
Bill Young, thanks very much. Best of luck.
Thank you so much.
In November.
Appreciate it. We're excited about it.
For the 88th House seat here in Ohio, Democrat from Green Springs, Ohio. Thanks again for coming in. We appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Lee.
When we come back in just a minute, take three. Ignacio Messina the Blade, London Mitchell of Cumulus Radio. Rejoin us after a little hiatus for the two of them. We'll talk topics pertinent to the city of Toledo when we come back.
Your life